How we doing, everybody? And welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Friday, finally. It is Friday. A fantastic Friday here in the great state of Wisconsin, or wherever you are tuning in today. I hope it is fantastic there. Hopefully you didn't get a lot of rain last night or yesterday, wherever you were. It just rained all day long. Couldn't get rid of it. It's like, it was making up for the week without rain. It had to make up for it there in one day. It was fantastic. Right? But hey, lots of good things happened yesterday. The big one, the Brewers split the series with them Dodgers. That was massive. I honestly, the way that the series started, I had my doubts. I'll be honest with you. I had my doubts about this team being able to split this series. It was an awesome series. Awesome series to watch those final two games. I want to get into a little bit of the box scores today, look at those games a little bit. I want to look into the Badgers a little bit, and also a little bit of Packer talk, as they got a preseason game coming up this weekend. But not a whole lot happening with the Packers over the last couple of days. Badgers, getting ready for the regular season to kick off, but outside of that, not a lot happened. A lot of Brewer talk today, though. So right away, I want to look at the Badger talk for the day and getting into a little bit more of what Longo had to say about his quarterback there in Tyler Van Dyke, and also the battle that he had with Braden Locke. We talked about it a little bit yesterday there, as Tyler Van Dyke was named Wisconsin's starting quarterback for this upcoming season. It was a tight battle with Braden Locke. And I talked about it a little bit there yesterday, but now we saw Longo had talked about it. I didn't get into much of what Longo had to say. I want to get into what Longo had to say, what really were some of the deciding factors in there of what helped them or made them choose Tyler Van Dyke over Braden Locke, and what to look for here in Tyler Van Dyke in this upcoming season. Because you look at it on paper, you look at his first season with Miami, a lot to like. Last season, a little bit down, but you're hoping that he can kind of replicate what he was doing at Miami now, with maybe a little bit better of a receiving core, maybe a little bit better of a backfield and an offensive line that benefits him and helps him progress from what we've seen in the past, from even get better here in Madison. So, like I mentioned, Longo came out and he said, I think Tyler probably is pretty close mentally to Locke. He's where we want him, where we would like him to be. You always want to be better. I don't like any mistakes ever, every day. That's our goal, is to be perfect mentally, because it's hard to be perfect physically. I think probably the big separator is the bigger arm. He probably wins and drives the ball better into the small holes. Both can throw the deep ball well. There's probably a greater range with Tyler, and then he has done an absolute heck of a job running the football and extending plays when he needs to be. Longo was just explaining that after, basically when Tyler Van Dyke first came in, he was explaining that with his comparison there to Braden Locke there. Listening to what he had to say about Van Dyke being a pocket passer, because a lot of people like to say that he's a pocket passer. So Longo said, they call him the prototypical pocket quarterback, and I don't necessarily think that's what he is. He's shown that he can extend plays with his legs, and that was another key factor in the decision. Longo also shared 3 key traits he looks for in quarterbacks are decision-making, a big arm, and mobility, and he feels like Wisconsin has all of that right now with Van Dyke leading the offense there. So I read that out of an article there. I saw it earlier on Athlon Sports, I believe. It was by Dylan Graff. He's a Badgers beat reporter there. So hearing that, you look at this offense for the Badgers, and I talked about it, I believe, last week there. They had mentioned the Badgers were looking at an option. They were going to have option plays included into that offense. And a lot of people were skeptical right away, because they're looking at everything about Tyler Van Dyke, and they're sitting there like, how can we run this option offense with a pocket passer? It just doesn't make sense, right? You're talking about you're going to run an option offense with, let's just say, Kirk Cousins or, Tom Brady, right? You're not running option options for those styles of quarterbacks. So a lot of people out there were skeptical right away. They're like, well, how's that going to work? You don't expect a pocket passer to really be able to step out and use his legs productively, right? You look at traditional pocket passers over the years and they can extend plays. They can step out of the pocket if they have to, make a little bit happen with their legs, but they're not your, prototypical runner, right? Mordecai was he was an option quarterback. Watching Mordecai, I thought he could have been in more of an option system. A little bit of pass here and there, but more of an option heavy offense between him and Braylon Allen, right? I really think that would have been beneficial to the Badgers last season to have gone to that. Now, when Braden Locke stepped in there, you lost that little bit of a step because Braden Locke isn't him. That isn't the way that Braden Locke plays the game. He's mobile. He can get around a little bit, but he's not speedy, right? He's not speedy. He's not, that dynamic with his legs. Van Dyke is probably a little bit of a step up. I would say, you look at Locke, you look at Mordecai, what he was last season. I would say Van Dyke is closer to Mordecai than he is to Locke, but I would say Van Dyke is not quite what we saw with Mordecai last year, right? Mordecai was a pocket collapsed, he was gone kind of thing. And I thought he honestly took off a little too soon at times for me watching Mordecai play last year. He didn't let the play develop. I thought he tried to escape faster than what he should have. I thought he had time. He had some instances where I'm remembering or thinking about it here. He had some moments where it's like, just step up. Just step up in the pocket. Yeah, it sounds easier said than done, right? Because we're not standing there watching the pass rush that's coming in, right? But it just seemed like in those situations he did have a little bit of time. But, looking at Van Dyke, if he can be I'm not asking him to be like Lamar Jackson or what Jaden Daniels was for LSU. I'm asking him to be just almost like a better armed version of JJ McCarthy, right? McCarthy had a good arm. I'm not going to say McCarthy didn't have a good arm, but McCarthy wasn't really relied on for his arm. It was more or less get the ball to the playmakers and let the playmakers do their thing, right? You remember that national championship, he really didn't have to do that much, right? And that was largely due to his running game was just, looking at Corum go in that game, there was nothing Washington could do about that run game for Michigan. But I just look at it and I say, okay, we're in this style of offense now, the dairy raid offense, as we call it. Bryson Green has the ability to blow the top off of defense. Will Pauling is a very good wide receiver, right? Looking to improve on what was already a very good season last year, looking to even improve on that. And then Vinny Anthony's got some downright speed in the wide receiver room there. And then you look at the backfield with Malusi in there. You're asking Van Dyke to make the throws that are there. You want him just to make the throws that are there and let everything else develop. And if it's not there, that's where, this option factor is coming in for Wisconsin now, is with the ability to get out. Now they have that option. That's going to keep defenses on their toes. That's going to keep the defense on their toes. So hearing what Longo had to say, the big arm, he wants, like he said, he wants the big arm. He wants the big arm. He wants them to be mobile, wants them to have the ability to get out of the pocket there. And he also wants decision-making skills out of his quarterback. So if Van Dyke, like I said, make the throws that are there, right? Don't try to force it into spots, right? Easier said than done, but forcing it into spots. I thought Mordecai had a couple of throws last season where ill-advised, forcing it into situations where he didn't have to force it. And if the Badgers utilize Malusi and this dynamic backfield that I believe they're going to have with these freshmen coming in and the experience that they already have, a safe, methodical, air it out a little bit offense with a little bit of an option in there, I like the sound of that. So I like what Longo had to say there, and it really bodes well for Wisconsin having that feeling about Van Dyke right now, where it's like this guy is a good decision maker. He has the big arm, he has the accuracy throwing it deep, and he also has the ability to get out of the pocket and make things happen with his legs. You love to hear that there. So just a little bit about Wisconsin there. I just saw that article yesterday and just wanted to mention it here on the show because I thought that was interesting to hear from Longo about the quarterback battle and kind of what was the decision making that happened behind it there. So like we all know, Van Dyke starting for Wisconsin there, and we get a little bit more news why and how it kind of transpired and got to that point there. So with that, just getting into the Packers here a little bit today. I want to get into the Packers. I want to talk about, they got this game coming up this weekend here against the Broncos. Heading out there right now, they're going to be in Denver today here for a joint practice, and then they'll be taking them on coming up. That will be, I believe that is on Sunday. They will be taking on the Broncos on Sunday, so they're going to have a joint practice before that there with the Broncos. Don't expect to see most of the starters. Like we know, Lucas Van Ness will be out there. They haven't really said who else is going to for sure play, but I would expect very little I wouldn't expect probably Jordan Morgan to return there. Valentine, I wouldn't expect yet. Kraft, I wouldn't expect. I'm not expecting many of the starters in this one. All I've heard so far is Lucas Van Ness will get to play in that game there. So, if you're going into this game expecting to see a lot of the starters, I would check that. I'm not for sure, but I am not expecting to see a lot of the starters out there. So, looking at the Packers, just a little bit of an update on their remaining schedule here. Heading down the stretch, we will see a walkthrough practice like we saw today, yesterday there. That was the walkthrough practice. Friday, today here, they're going to have that joint practice. Sunday, they're going to have the preseason game. Next Tuesday will be the last open practice, I believe, for Green Bay. And then they'll have a joint practice with Baltimore on Thursday, a preseason game with Baltimore on Saturday, and then the deadline for the 53-man roster will be on August 27th. That'll be that Tuesday. And then the practice squad formation begins on August 28th there. So a little bit of the upcoming schedule to pay attention to there if you are a Green Bay Packer fan. So I saw a lot of people, they were talking about Green Bay and their over-under for the season. And I believe their over-under, if I'm not mistaken, was like 9.5. It was like 9.5, 8.5, 9.5, somewhere right there. I look at this schedule for Green Bay, and I got to myself thinking, I was like, okay, let's go through it. Let's see who we think the Packers can beat, who we think is going to be some close games, what we think the record will be for the Green Bay Packers. So right away, I look at this Eagles game, week 1. That's going to be a tough game in Brazil. Packers, man, that's going to be a rough one. I'm going to say that's going to be a tough game. I think the Packers can win that game. I just got that bad feeling about that game. I'm going to take an 0-1 start for Green Bay. I'm going to take an 0-1 start there. But I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll beat the Colts week 2. I think they'll beat the Titans week 3. Vikings week 4 at Lambeau. The Vikings always seem to play the Packers tough, especially right off the bat. But I'm going to take the Packers with a win there for a 3-1 start. The Rams will be tough. The Rams will be really tough on the road. I think the Packers will lose that game, but I think they'll bounce back. They'll beat the Cardinals. And I think because the game against Houston's at home, I think they will win that game against Houston. I got that feeling they will win that game against Houston. Jaguars on the road. I feel like the Jaguars are still behind. I think they will win that game. I think they will win the game against the Lions at home. The Bears on the road will be tough. I'm going to skip that game for a second. 49ers at home. I'm going to take a loss to the 49ers at home, but a win against the Dolphins at home that following week. Lions at Detroit. I think that's going to be a loss. I'm going to take a loss there. I think they do travel to Seattle and win that game, and I think they will beat the Saints. I think they'll go to Minnesota and win that game. And then that game against the Bears, I feel like is a bounce back win because I think they will lose that game to the Bears at Chicago. I just got that gut feeling that the Bears are pulling out against Green Bay. I got that gut feeling they'll pull one out against Green Bay. I have Green Bay pegged for about five or six losses. I could see 5 or 6 losses on the schedule. The Houston one is up in the air for me. I think the Houston one's up in the air. I think the Colts game could be up in the air too. I think the Colts game could be up in the air. And I think that Houston game could be up in the air for me. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they could be anywhere from 7 losses. I think they could be in that 7-loss range. I think anywhere from 5 to 7 losses. I could see the Packers pegged as this season. I think their toughest games, like I said, the Eagles. I think the Colts are very underrated going into this next season. The Rams, Sean McVay, always tough. So I got them being a tough matchup. I have them losing that game at LA, but I think they can win that game, right? The Packers, I believe, will be they aren't as highly talked about by a lot of analysts as I think they'll be this season. I think they have the ability to win this schedule. There's some games in here. The one against the Eagles, the Rams, the Colts, the Texans, and then after that game at Chicago, the 49ers at home, because the 49ers always seem to have the Packers number. Seattle at Seattle could be a rough one. That could be a rough one to watch there. And then the Lions at the Lions, I think that'll be a tough one there. So I seriously, I see the Packers between 5 and probably 7 losses. But I'm going to trend up. I'm going to go in my 5 range like I originally said there, but I could see it anywhere in that 5 to 7 range. I don't think they drop down to 7 and 10 like some analysts have said. 7 and 10 seems crazy for the Green Bay Packers, especially with this receiving core, with Jordan Love. I mean, Jordan Love continues that success from last season there to end the year. And then you add that with a young developing receiving core that I think is only going to get better, and a defense that I think is going to be tremendously better under Hafley. It's super hard unless you're a Bears fan or an NFC North outside of Green Bay fan to completely diss on this Packers team. I think they've done a lot right, and I think they have a lot going for this team right now. So right now I'm sitting in that 5 to 7 loss range. I'm sitting in that 5 to 7 loss game. If it is, I can't remember now. I just saw it earlier today. If it was 9.5, if it was 8.5 there, I think they cover the spread. I think they do. I think they're over 9.5. I really do think they'll be over 9.5, definitely over 8.5, but I think they'll definitely be over 9.5 too. I really do. I think they'll be in that 10 to 12 win range. I could see them in there. If they don't, and 10 wins probably doesn't win you the NFC North. If they don't win the North, they're a wild card team, right? I could see them in the wild card race. Winning the division is going to be tough, right? Now you got to deal with the Bears, who have a pretty lineup, right? It's pretty. Now we got to see it, right? You can put all the pieces. This is what a lot of people are high up in the Bears, and that's fine. The Bears have put a lot of talent together. Defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball. The left side of the offensive line sucks. The right side of the offensive line is good. I am completely not saying that the Bears couldn't be something. What I'm saying is sometimes you can put together the prettiest roster in the world. Phoenix Suns. You can put together a pretty roster with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, right? You can throw this pretty roster together. Doesn't mean it's going to work, right? I mean, it seems like all these NBA analogies I'm going to give you are going to be involving Kevin Durant, but the Brooklyn Nets, now injury did bar that team, but Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant, didn't work out, right? Oklahoma City, I believe, they tried to build a little bit of a super team down there. Russ and PG3, PG-13, Paul George. I can't remember his nickname off the top of my head now, but you throw together, you have these super teams, right? Ask the Dodgers in baseball or the Yankees in baseball, right? How these super teams work sometimes. You can throw together all the pieces in the world, all the star power in the world. It doesn't always lead to championships. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You can throw the best roster together you possibly can, but if it doesn't mesh, if the offensive line doesn't mesh, if the wide receiving core can't get on the same page as the quarterback, if the quarterback can't get on the same page as everybody else, if the head coach stinks, right? Look at the Bears organization. They haven't been a good organization in a long time, right? And you throw this money-making quarterback into a bad organization, it could still fail. He could be, you could throw Patrick Mahomes into a bad situation with bad head coaching, bad play calling, bad decision making, bad everything. They could find a way to make it fail, right? Now, it doesn't seem like that because Patrick Mahomes seems to makes the most out of everything he's got, right? But I'm just saying, end of the day, you can have a pretty lineup. You can have the prettiest lineup in the world. It doesn't always work. I'm not going to say that the Chicago Bears cannot be something this year because I definitely think they could. I definitely think they could. If Caleb Williams pans out to be the man that they think he is, right? And DJ Moore and Keenan Allen stays healthy and Rome Odunze ends up developing into this top wide receiver that a lot of people like to make him out to be, right? They're saying that he's just as good as Malik Neighbors and he's just as good as this and he's just as good as that. Okay. I think Rome Odunze is a very good receiver. Do I think he is bodes and, leaps ahead of Marvin Harrison? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. I think Rome Odunze can be a very good receiver, but in what system, right? Would Brock Purdy succeed with Eberflus and the Bears? I don't know about that one. I truthfully don't know about that one. Would Jordan Love succeed with Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys? Probably not, right? It's sometimes players need certain coaches, they need certain play calling, they need to be in a certain style. Now, with Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams was in more of a pro set offense or pro formation, whatever you want to call it. So maybe that is going to be the thing that jumpstarts him and gets him right in and fluid and ready to go. But what I'm saying is that it's a long season. And sometimes it starts out bad. Look at the Packers. Sometimes it starts out cold. Sometimes it gets better. Sometimes it starts out cold and it gets worse, right? It's a wait and see with the Chicago Bears. It's a wait and see. Could they be good? Yes. Could they be good? Yes. But I think right now, if I look at the NFC North, my two proven teams, my two teams that I feel the best about, if I was an outside fan looking in, if I was a betting man, Green Bay, the Lions. Those are my two. If I was a betting man, I'm thinking about these two teams. The Bears could be a sneaky one. To some people, they won't be. To others, they will be. But if to wrap it up there with the Packers, covering the spread for the over, do I think they'll be over or under their predicted win total? I think they'll be over. If it's by a game, if it's by two, I think they'll be over. This isn't going to be an undefeated season. This isn't going to be a 2-loss season. But I feel like in that 5-7 range of losses, I could see the Green Bay Packers sitting this year. And if they exceed that, I think they could be a 12-4 team. I'm not going to lie. I think they are 12-5. That would be 13-4 would be the final record if they finish with 4 losses. I could see them sitting in that range too. But I seriously think they will be in that 10-12 range. I think they will be. That's where I have the Packers pegged for this upcoming season here. So I also saw, I don't know who runs the page Sideline Sources on Instagram, but there's a video going around. It's Quay Walker, and they're working with him with a hand-eye coordination drill where they're covering his helmet with a towel, and they throw the ball, and then they, move the towel, and he's got to try and adjust, catch the ball. And this reporter, whoever it is from Sideline Sources, they go, this is next level, and they said the Packers wide receiver drill is intense. I was just looking at it, I was like, did one of the receivers take the number 7 jersey? And I'm really looking at that, I'm like, hold on, I've seen this video. So I looked into it more, and I was like, that's Quay Walker. and you could tell it looked like Quay Walker, but my guessing got the best of me. So then I was thinking about it even more. I'm like, that's Quay Walker. I'm like, man, oh man, if you're gonna post a video, at least get your facts right, right? At least get your facts right, and at least be semi, in tune to at least who's in the video, right? So at least I got the Packers right. At least I got the Packers right when they said the Packers were the ones doing it. But I mean, that was it was cool to see that too. It was cool. That kind of drill. Seriously, the hand-eye coordination that it takes to do that drill, to have your eyes covered, balls thrown, they flip the towel up, and then you just got to adjust to where the ball is. I thought that was a interesting and very fascinating drill to look at there. And, surprising how good some of these guys are in that drill. I feel like the first ball would hit me right in the head. I seriously do. I think the first ball would hit me right in the head. I wouldn't know what to do. And then I'd be like, okay, dial it back in. Here we go. Face mask again, right? I just get it in the face mask a couple times. I'd be like, all right, I'm done with this. You guys have noticed I don't have very good hand-eye coordination, right? Don't have very good hand-eye coordination. So with that, let's get to some sponsors of the show here quick before we get into a little bit of Brewer talk for the day. First, Game Day Supply in Alaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Alaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. Marshfield Motor Speedways, located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Get down there this summer yet. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better than a great summer day or night down at the track there. Marshfield Motor Speedways. Your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Sports Scene, sports cards, and memorabilia located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need, from sporting cards to memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. And also Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether it was at work, whether you were mowing the lawn, playing with the kids, playing with the dog, who knows? Who knows what you're doing? Maybe you were just sitting down. You felt something tear, pop, didn't feel right. You went to your doctor. They said you better see a physical therapist. I cannot tell you anyone better to go and see than Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. He'll get you right. He'll get you back to work, back mowing the lawn, back playing with the kids, playing with the dog, doing whatever you're doing. He'll get you back there feeling better than ever. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin there. So, with that, let's get to some Brewers. Let's get to some Brewers here, because the Brewers, they got me excited. They got me excited over this last little stretch here. We talked about, I was watching the game as I was recording a couple nights ago there. That Brewers game, they were in a deadlock game there. It was 4-3 late in this one. Dodgers get one in the top of the 7th. Brewers come back in the bottom of the 7th and score a run there that would ultimately give them the 5-4 win in that one. Jackson Chourio has another dynamic moment. And I'm going to be honest with you right now. Jackson Chourio not sitting on an all-star, or not an all-star, but sitting on the Rookie of the Year talk line is absolutely a crime. It absolutely irritates me and just completely drives me insane. Jackson Chourio has been unreal since, I believe, I was just going to pull up that stat I had before here, but he is one of 6 players in MLB history with 15-plus home runs, 15-plus stolen bases at the age of 20 and 157 days. Got to make sure you add that in there. And then also, Jackson Chourio, over his last 30 games, is hitting .320 with 18 RBIs and 6 home runs. .320. He's got a slugging of .528, and he's got an on-base percentage of .361 over that stretch. I don't know what else you have to do to at least just get your name talked about in that same category. Because all we hear is Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens this, Paul Skeens that, Paul Skeens everything in between. Paul Skeens has been fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Paul Skeens has been nothing but fantastic for the Pirates this season. I will be the first to admit, I was not, when he first came up, then they put him in the All-Star game, and I wasn't so about that and everything like that. But Paul Skeens has been unreal for the Pirates. But what Jackson Chourio has done for the Brewers, keeping them afloat in the first, because when I say he's kept them afloat, he has been a big reason why the Brewers are still in first place in the NL Central. He is a massive reason in that. Christian Yelich went out with an injury, and Jackson Chourio stepped in, essentially saying, don't worry, guys. I know Yelich is out. I know he was having a one of those years, right? We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And just steps up in the biggest way for the Brewers when they need it. You look at the Dodgers in Game 2. He has that big 2-run home run early on. You look at this game late in this one. An late inning, 7th inning, go ahead, RBI single, goes 2 for 3 on that game in a total there. He is checking every box that you could possibly want. He's checking the boxes along the way for this Rookie of the Year conversation. Now, am I saying that Paul Skeens isn't checking boxes? No. Paul Skeens is definitely checking some boxes right now. What I'm saying is end of the day, if you aren't talking about Jackson Chourio or Jackson Churro for any kind of Rookie of the Year award conversation, you're not watching. You're not seeing. You're not understanding or looking at the if you're watching on MLB Network, if you're watching anywhere, if they're not talking about it, they're insane. I guess I don't watch MLB Network enough to know. But if you're not seeing this, you need to expand and maybe look in a new horizon of baseball. Don't go one-dimensional, right? Paul Skeens this, Paul Skeens that. Look around, right? Look around, because this guy, Jackson Chourio, is the real deal. I was just about to the point where I was sending him down to AAA when he was struggling, when they needed offense. I was just about there. And then he turned it on. And I was like, this is Jackson Chourio. This is him. Because if you really look at him over his years and time in the Brewers organization, every level that he's been to, he started slow. And it was like, okay, we're waiting on this high level, highly talked about, highly ranked prospect to be that guy at the next level, right? We've been waiting. So then you see it at AA and you're like, a real slow start. Where's the guy that was at single A? And then all of a sudden he turns it on, right? And then he gets up to AAA. Same thing. And now he's up in the bigs. Same thing. Started a little bit slow. Had some flashes, but started slow. Got the confidence, got the mentality that, hey, I can do this at the next level. Now we're seeing Jackson Chourio full spectrum. We're seeing the whole thing right now. Defensively, there's some room for improvement, right? I feel like if you had one knock on Jackson Chourio's game right now, it would be on the defensive side. He makes the safe plays, right? But he's not the guy to bail out. He's not the guy who has the instinct out there. Now, you're talking about a guy who, yes, he can play center field, right? He naturally was playing center field, but he's a natural shortstop, right? So getting up to the bigs and judging fly balls at the big league level, probably not that easy, right? So Jackson Chourio not being talked about for Rookie of the Year definitely irritates me. That definitely irritates me. So I just got off topic there a little bit, but it was one of my talking points of the day was Jackson Chourio not in the talks for Rookie of the Year is a crime. It is a crime, and I want to know who's making these lists and who's going to be the person who puts up the candidates, because I'm going to find them, and I'm going to send them a very not nice worded letter. Let's go with that. I probably won't. I'm not ambitious enough for that, but maybe I'll send him a voice message. I'll find his number and I'll send him a voice message there. But, I mean, looking at it as a whole, in this game, Trag has a hit in this one. Chourio with 2 hits. Bowers with that big home run in this one. And Brewers find a way, right? Frankie Montas, I'm going to tell you this. 0 earned runs, right? Remember that. 0 earned runs. He did have 3 runs on his ledger, but 0 earned runs. The way that he battled for those last couple innings that he was in there, because his pitch count was up, 70s? I mean, ridiculous numbers in the 3rd inning, and it was like Frankie's going to be done here. The way that he battled to get the Brewers into the 6th inning impressed me. He might not be Paul Skeens. He might not be Zach Wheeler. He might not be prime Justin Verlander, right? But he's a gamer. I will say that about Frankie Montas. If I want a pitcher who I know is going to go to battle for me, Frankie's that guy. He battles. Now, the thing that's going to hurt Frankie and hurts Freddie and hurts Colin Ray at times, hurts the Brewers pitching staff as a whole, is pitch counts get high because they do get in a lot of battles, right? Pitch counts for the Brewers are an issue. The starters, why they get limited at times, right, to lesser innings with good performances, their pitch counts at 90 pitches going into the 5th inning. And it's like, well, what are you going to do now, right? So Frankie needs to get that pitch count a little bit better. But all in all, this performance by Frankie, he battled. He battled, man. And you got to love that. I mean, not his greatest stuff, not his greatest performance. He had the 3 walks. There was issues early on, right? Dodgers hung 3 on him there in the top of the 1st. But all in all, he battled in this one. You got to respect that. Mears had a good outing in this one. Canning did give up a run in this outing, but Payamps looked good. Something that I've been waiting to say and waiting to see consistently is Yoel Payamps look good. Payamps looked good in this outing. Payamps looked very good. And then Devin Williams, I'm going to tell you this right now. Between the 2 games that Devin Williams came into, Devin Williams looks like Devin Williams. And it has me excited. This guy is pumping gas. The changeup's there. Everything about Devin Williams, the fire, everything like that is there. And I love that. I love having that back in the back end of my bullpen because guess what? When you get to the 9th inning, you feel good. And I got to say, Trevor Megill was solid. I'm not going to ever say that Trevor Megill did not do his best and give us his best stuff. The best that he could in his, upgraded role to the closer. But having Devin Williams back out there, that's like added insurance. That's like, give me a 1-run lead. Give me a 5-4 lead here against the Dodgers and get it to me in the 9th. And you will be sitting pretty. And that is exactly what happened in this game. And Devin Williams was, once again, Devin Williams. He faced the meat of that order. We're talking Shohei Ohtani. We're talking Freddie Freeman. We're talking Mookie. Right? He went through the heart of that lineup. 1, 2, 3. And said, see you later. That is Devin Williams. That is what you love. That is what you wanted to see. Devin Williams looking good out there. As a whole, 5 guys left on base. Some guys left on early on in this one. And then runners in scoring position, 3 for 10 in this game for the Brewers. Looking at the deciding one in this series split game here. The Brewers win that one 6-4. Out hit by the Dodgers. 10-7. Brewers jump out early with that 3-0 lead. The 2-run shot by Chourio. The solo shot by Contreras, who don't look now. Don't look now, folks, if you are not a Brewer fan. But, William Contreras is starting to feel it again. Last 7 games, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 7 hits. He's got a 280 average, 286 over the last 15. Don't look now, but William Contreras, since that calendar flip past the All-Star game, is starting to feel himself again. So great to see William Contreras stepping up at the plate there. A 2-for-4 performance for him in this one. Chourio, 2-for-4 in this game here. Adames with that big go-ahead RBI single late in this one. Tyler Black, though he does not record a hit, comes up with a massive RBI, a little bit of insurance there to make it 6-4 right in this one. Outside of that, not a whole lot of hitting for the Brewers. Trag 2 for 3, Churio 2 for 4, Contreras 2 for 4, Adames with that hit. Outside of that, zeros across the board for the Brewers in this one here. 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position and 5 guys left on base in this one here. Tobias Myers was Tobias Myers. He has been fantastic for the Brewers. He has been fantastic. I think I say it every time. 5 2/3, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Tobias Myers, you look at the 8 hits, you say, well, it wasn't a great day, right? It wasn't a great day. But just like I was talking about with Frankie Montas, this dude walks out there and he does not fear anybody, right? He did not fear the Dodgers. What I talked about after games 1 and 2 of this series for the Brewers was it seemed like they fear the Dodgers, right? When they see the Dodgers walk in the room, they're like, oh boy, here's the Dodgers, right? The big bad Dodgers are coming to town. Tobias Myers walked out there and said, okay, another start. Let's give it our best stuff, right? 8 hits, not great. 2 earned runs. 2 earned runs against the Dodgers, 4 runs in total, but 2 earned runs against the Dodgers. I'm not going to bat an eye at that. I mean, that's a solid day at the office when you're facing a lineup that includes the likes of Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith. You go through this lineup, it's like, geez Louise, where do they? I mean, it's money galore. Like, holy crap. Tobias Myers has been fantastic. I'm going to be honest with you. If you ask me right now, Brewers are in a do-or-die playoff game, who do I want to have the ball on the mound in that game? It's Tobias Myers. A lot of people would say Fastball Freddie. A lot of people would say Colin Ray. I got Tobias Myers. This dude he's not Corbin Burns. He's not Brandon Woodruff. Those two, I feel like speaking of gamers, Brandon Woodruff, but those two can be lights out. Tobias Myers can be lights out. I'm not going to lie. Tobias Myers can be lights out. But what gets me with, and I'm not going to say as much Burns as I'm going to say Woodruff. Woodruff is fearless. He doesn't care who you are. He's going to pitch to you, right? Tobias Myers is that same exact way. He is fearless. Now, that could get him into trouble at times, but to me, I love that. Tobias Myers, for me, right now, been pitching great for the Brewers. Elvis Peguero, he did have a third of an inning there, 2 hits and zeros across the board. Brian Hudson, 2 innings. He actually picked up the win in this one. 2 innings and 2 strikeouts. And then Devin Williams shuts the door with 2 strikeouts in this one, striking out Shohei Ohtani to end it. And I thought that was just like, almost like a mic drop on this series. That was like your mic drop of the series was like, yep, we got him. We split the series. Don't worry about us. We're fine. We can play with the big dogs, right? I talked about it the other day, when I was comparing the Brewers and the Dodgers to each other. And I said, can the Brewers catch the Dodgers? Are they even as good as the Dodgers? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, starting pitching's iffy for both teams. Lineup to lineup, I think the Dodgers have more star power, but the Brewers have the ability to put up runs with anybody. I think they do, right? You got your boppers in there. You have your big RBI guys. Adames, Contreras, Hoskins, right? Sanchez when he's playing. Sanchez can be a big hitter, right? And then you have your speed. You have your on-base guys. Sal, Trag, Mitchell, Churio, who is turning into being an RBI guy too, right? Churio's becoming that guy too. You have the pieces in this lineup to be able to compete in those series. It's just like, it's a mentality thing. It's not the big bad Dodgers. It's we can beat this team. This pitching staff isn't that good. I thought, honestly, games 1 and 2, Kershaw and Gavin Stone pitched well. I thought they left pitches over the plate that the Brewers just didn't capitalize on. Second time around or in the playoffs, Brewers face those same opponents or same pitchers. Maybe the script flips. Maybe seeing these guys for the first time or, seeing them for the first time in a while. Now you see them a little bit later. Could change the outcome of that one. So Brewers, I just am excited. I'm excited after watching the end of this series here to see what they can do against the Cleveland Guardians coming up this weekend here. That is going to be a massive, heavy-hitting battle at American Family Field coming up this weekend here. We're going to see Savali taking on Williams in Game 1. Williams coming in this one 2-4 with a 4.38 ERA. Brewers got to capitalize Game 1 there against an iffy starter. Looking at Game 2 of the series there on Saturday, BB has been fantastic for Cleveland, 10-4 with 3.39 ERA. Freddie Peralta will square off with him, 7-7 with that 4.11 ERA. And then on Sunday, we will see Lively, who has been good for Cleveland, 10-7 with 3.71 ERA. He'll be taking on Colin Ray, who is 10-4 with a 3.72 ERA there. Massive series coming up this weekend for the Brewers taking on this Guardians team. Star power, right? Some star power for both teams heading into the series. Stephen Kwan has been great for them there. Jose Ramirez has been great this season. Brewers battling back with Contreras, right? Contreras has been great for the Brewers. I mean, you can look around the Brewers lineup and figure out who you want to put next, but I'd put Jackson Chourio in that next there. But a lot of good star power in this series. Two heavy hitters, top teams in their division squaring off this weekend at American Family Field. Nothing better than a heavyweight battle there. So, last but not least, I wanted to avoid this until last year. The injury report. Let's get to the injury report here. And, well, yesterday night, we did not get the greatest news, but something that I kind of expected was coming at some point. And that was a statement from Christian Yelich. It's kind of been hush-hush, not a whole lot been talked about. Finally comes out. So, Christian Yelich, he put out a video. I'm not going to repeat the whole video. I'm just going to read what he had to say. After careful consideration and consultation with medical personnel, I have decided to undergo season-ending back surgery. I ultimately felt it was for my best interest of myself and the Brewers to have surgery with the expectation of being back at 100% for next season. We have a very special team here, and it will be disappointing not to be able to contribute on the field down the stretch. However, I have the utmost confidence in my teammates and will be cheering them on with all of you, the great fans of Milwaukee. Thank you for all your support. Go Brewers. It sucks. It really does. But I was expecting it. I really was. It has almost been too hush-hush for me to expect. You know, there was no, we're going to try this. There was no, we're going to try that. There was no, Christian Yelich is going to try it out doing this. Nothing. Nothing was reported for the longest time. It was like I was almost waiting for that statement to come out. And it did. It was like crap, right? But, like he said, I mean, this Brewers team, Jackson Chourio, like I talked about earlier there, has come into the fold. If Mitchell can get going, Sal keeps hitting like he is, you get Blake Perkins back. I'm not fearing the outfield, right? I'm not fearing the outfield. What we need to see is the Brewers starting pitching down the stretch here start to come into its own. Freddie Peralta start to find his stuff and start to be a little bit better there, locating pitches, getting into finding a way to get quicker innings, right? Finding a way to get quicker innings. You get all those kinds of intangibles. You get some guys healthy. I just saw Trevor McGill and Enoli Paredes will be both, I believe, down there with high A. McGill on the injured list with the low back injury, scheduled to pitch for high A yesterday there. And then it looks like Paredes will be set to follow that outing for the Timber Rattlers on Friday. So if you're around the Timber Rattlers area, you saw McGill and Paredes down there. But those are two huge bullpen arms to get back there that only make that bullpen that much better down the stretch. So then it's leaning on starting pitching. Then it's leaning on the offense, getting hot and staying hot down the stretch. I like the Brewers. I really do. I like where the Brewers are at right now. Not having Christian Yelich sucks. It sucks. But it has not made me lose faith that this Brewers team can make some noise when it comes to the postseason there. They still got good bats. They still got a good lineup. And they have a boatload of talent. Now it's time to see it there. Now it's time to see it. So, with that, that's about all I got for the day. That's about all I got. It was a great day. Great day. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday here. I really do. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, right? A great weekend coming up here. But like I always say, leave a review, subscribe wherever you are. Definitely show us some love out there. I love to see people subscribing, leaving reviews, comments, everything like that. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can find us out there. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend here. But until I talk to you guys again on Monday, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river.